You're listening to Never Heard of It, a Night Shift Radio production. It wasn't very quiet. It was like a golf clap. You were just like, "Ta," with a tiny little tap. Yeah, it was nice. It was good. It was calm. It was a relaxing clap.
I like to think it was gentlemanly and sophisticated.
Yeah. Not foppish at all.
So
You're just the dandy.
I did it. Remember
did you
how I
do?
said that I was gonna do, like, for my birthday this year, I was gonna do like a whole like fall wardrobe overhaul from American Giant,
From American Giant.
because I was such a fan of those pants.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I did it.
You done did it?
I bought another pair of those pants.
Okay.
Same style, same color. I was gonna get a different color, but they didn't have the it's like vintage indigo, I think, is the color that I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't have that, so I went with the same brown. I can't remember the name of the color, but it's the kind of like camely brown.
Yeah.
Like, it's nice. It works for me. It's a good color for me.
Yeah.
But I had some surprises too. I bought the work from home pants,
Okay.
and they're comfortable.
Yeah.
They fit well. They're very comfortable. Not at all what I was expecting material wise. I was
Really?
thinking they'd be more like a sweatpants sort of thing, like a
Sure.
real, like a soft cotton sort of casual thing. It's very much this like almost pleather-esque, like stretchy athletic fabric.
Interesting.
Which was like, so I go swish, swish, swish when I walk through the hall now.
No, because they're not designed for walking through an office. They're
No,
designed
they're
for
not.
sitting in one spot at your house.
They're designed
from here to fridge and back.
Cozy in the home, and they fit really well. And
Yeah.
they're comfortable. It was just like, it totally caught me off guard. I opened the package, just like, what the fuck is this?
What is this?
And then I also bought. So last time, you remember, I bought a bunch of the like standard crew neck T-shirts. Thinking, this will be great. I replaced all my cheap Old Navy T-shirts. And I got them, and I opened them, and they were like super short and super wide. And I'm like, this is not gonna work for me.
Not cutting it.
So I returned them all. So this time around, I bought the premium slub crew neck, and I didn't know what slub meant. I thought,
I'm still unsure.
Like, I thought that was like the cut or the fit or something like that. And I could tell from the photos that they were longer and narrower, which is what I wanted.
Right.
And I got them. I got 9 of them, and they are longer and they are narrower. But apparently, slub is the type of material. It's like a heavier cotton.
Interesting.
And so the all 9 of them are in a load of laundry right now to kind of, Ellen says that'll soften them up.
Right.
But that starting from that like thicker, heavier point is going to help them to last longer. They're not as black as advertised. They're more of like a charcoal.
So, okay. I mean, that's cool though.
It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's so I'm they fit really nicely, and I'm looking forward to giving them their first real whirl this week with my my work from home pants.
As I work from home. Your slub shirt,
my slub shirt, and my work from home pants. So
that's a nice little, and so just for our listeners, we are not sponsored by American Giant.
No,
but we could be. But I'll tell you who we are sponsored by. And if for those of you watching on YouTube, we are in fact sponsored by the Night Shift Radio merch store, and both of us right now are rocking some merchandise. So I'm rocking the Storyteller series pullover, and Caleb is rocking the Night Shift Radio branded hoodie, which just looks, the zip up hoodie. It just looks fantastic, man. That looks fantastic. I'm so excited to get mine, hopefully soon. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Cool.
And of course, if you're interested in Night Shift Radio merchandise and paraphernalia, you can find that over at nsrad.io/merch, or also linked off of our main network website, nightshiftradio.com.
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, so we have the Storyteller series merchandise. We have Night Shift Radio merchandise, for the parent company. We've got, of course, us, never heard of it. We've got Left of the Dial stuff. We've got Second Edition One, who has a brand new shirt called Oops All Me. It's just messed up, but I love it to death. Captain Adama's
Oops All Meat.
Beautiful. And then we have some Super Pod Hero Cast stuff. Yeah, and then our brand new show, which is coming soon, which is called Redacted. There'll be some merchandise for that coming out soon as well.
Hell yeah. And
Yeah.
for those of you watching on YouTube, you might have seen last week when Penelope joined us in the background and she was wearing her Never Heard of It hoodie, which
Yeah.
is adorable.
Which is absolutely adorable. So head on over there and check that out. And that being said, hello and welcome to the Never Heard of It podcast. I'm your host, Michael Fight.
And I am Caleb Space Coy from Space.
So this is the last one for your picks of the month, your
know.
birthday picks of the month. Are you
What a month
excited?
It's been a ride.
Yeah, I mean, so we started the month. What was the first one we did? I don't even
The
remember now.
voices.
Oh
Well,
yeah, the voice.
technically Scare Me, but that was a special
Yeah.
bonus episode that we had to we had to fit in because that movie was so fucking good.
Yeah, it really was. Yeah, so we kicked it off with the Ryan Reynolds film *The Voices*, and then by a chance happening, we ended up getting a sneak preview copy of *Scare Me*, which is a Shudder exclusive, written, directed, and starring Josh Rubin. So we threw that in on that same week, and then we did *Harlock Space Pirate*.
Oh my god, so good!
Which was such a good animated film. I still want to watch the anime. I'm gonna have to do it. And then last week we did Pay the Ghost, the Nick Cage film. And Caleb, what are we rounding out the month with? What are we wrapping it up with today?
Well, you know how we love films from New Zealand.
I said this, every fucking film from New Zealand we have done has been absolutely great, fantastic,
yeah, just brilliant. And you know how we love sci-fi.
Yes, of course.
And of course, you know how like bad like B movie style is like our bread and butter.
Sure.
This movie has all of those.
All of those, in fact.
This is all of those things.
All of those things.
Because this week we're covering the movie. This giant paper mache boulder is actually really heavy.
Which they said it in the movie, and I did the Leonardo DiCaprio thing where I pointed at the screen because they said the name of the movie in the movie.
It was great.
It was absolutely great. What a delightful film. But as usual with my typical complaints, this film is far too long.
Yes, and
like by about an hour. I think.
IMDb says that it's an hour 52, but the actual runtime when I was watching it was more like an hour 39. So I don't know where the discrepancy comes from. If maybe there was like some additional scenes or something like that.
Yeah, it could also be because so this film did a bunch of runs at like independent film festivals. So that could be when they submitted it, that could have been the film run of it, but then the actual distribution cut is smaller, which happens a lot. So with these smaller films, it's whenever they upload the IMDb and it gets all the listings, a lot of times it's the film fest cut and never the distribution cut, especially if it doesn't get distribution.
Yeah, and so it was roughly an hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes, which isn't bad, but there was definitely a bunch of like drawn out kind of visual gag stuff that it made me chuckle, but like if it hadn't been there, wouldn't have ruined the movie.
Yeah. And I mean, the fact is about this movie is that it's a really fun movie. It's quirky. It definitely plays homage to that like 60s style sci-fi film. Think what's that movie we covered? I can't even think of the name of it now.
Like Plan 9 from Outer Space?
Or the Lost Skeleton of the Cadaver.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. The Lost Skeleton. What was it?
Lost Skeleton of Cadavra.
Lost Skeleton of Cadavra. Yes.
It's one of my favorites of all time. How dare you get it wrong? How dare you?
Yes, I know. it was kind of ridiculous. It was ridiculous of me. But yeah, so it has kind of that feel to it. Yeah. But it definitely lags in some parts where it tries to hit some jokes, but I liked it still.
Yeah, I mean it's incredibly self-aware, right down to the characters like pointing out the absurdity of the props being made from just whatever was laying around.
Oh yeah, I mean it's cardboard, literal cardboard. Like they made a point to show you they're really wearing cardboard.
Like at one point, one of them says, like, is this a tire? Like you zoom in closely on something and it says made in New Zealand. And
That's great. Yeah.
so it's very, my downstairs neighbor is vacuuming.
Yeah.
Now, maybe she has rugs. I don't know. Or maybe she's vacuuming her furniture. She does have a couple of cats, so that could be.
She's vacuuming the cats.
She could, but like otherwise, the floors are hardwood. Like, I know I used to live in that apartment. And they're definitely hardwood, and she vacuums a lot, like a couple times a week.
I mean, if she has cats, I guess that's
for a long
good.
time though.
I mean,
she'll vacuum for like an hour in the same room, like just in the front room.
Weird.
It's not a. I mean, you can basically see the extent of.
Yeah, I mean, it's not
the room. It's the same size. In fact, it's slightly smaller because of the way that the like stairwell works out and everything. Like, there's not a lot of space to be vacuuming.
Bitch, why are you vacuuming so much? What are you doing? I need to know. That's weird. You should go knock on the door and be like, What are you doing? Why are you vacuuming for an hour? You have hardwood floors.
What could possibly be left to vacuum?
Right.
Like if you're vacuuming your furniture, that's a 5-minute job most.
Right.
At most.
I mean, again, maybe she has a lot of cats and you just are unaware.
She has definitely at least one. I think she has 2.
Okay.
No more than that though.
No more, no less.
No more than that. No more than 2, no less than 1.
Gotcha. There's definitely a cat. That's the point we're trying to make, is that there is a cat present when she does her daily roster. She says cat, and at least one says present. So that's what we know.
It just made me think of What We Do in the Shadows. Bat. And he turns into a bat.
Flies away. That's great. But yeah, so the giant paper mache boulder, this giant paper mache boulder is actually really heavy. I watched this movie on Tubi TV, our friends over at Tubi TV. And free, you don't need to sign up. You just watch, no ads or ad supported. That's the kind of whole point of this. But so this movie was made in 2016. And it looks like it did a run at the Boston Sci-Fi Sci-Film Festival, and it was one of the top choices from that. So cool, nice little New Zealand film making the rounds. Again, I'm thinking about all the New Zealand films we watched. So we watched Deathgasm. Yes. We watched that, and we had Lori Pops on as our guest for that one because she actually lives in New Zealand. I feel like we should have Lori Pops on every time we do a New Zealand film. Just as like our New Zealand, like our Kiwi consultant.
Our New Zealand correspondent.
Yes. And now to our New Zealand correspondent, Lori. Lauren, how do you...
Yes, that would be
This is rubbish. Yeah. But yeah, and then we did the time one. I've lost... My brain is gone. I've lost all remembrance of films we have watched.
What was that?
What was that time one we watched? It had a really cool name too. Time Warp listeners, help us out. What was the name of it?
But wasn't the El Monstro del Mar was that also New Zealand or was that Australia? No, that was Australia.
That was Australian. It was Mega Time Squad.
Mega Time Squad.
Mega Time Squad. We formed some kind of Mega Time Squad. Yeah, what's funny about this film, although it was a New Zealand film, not a lot of New Zealand accents, a lot of very British sounding accents, but a couple, like the main character, Tom, who is played by Christian Nicholson, who is also the writer, director, producer, editor of this movie.
Apparently jumped in to do the lead role because there was like a contract issue or something like that with the original lead actor at the last minute. So like they needed someone to jump in.
You just imagine to be like the actor shows up and be like, sorry guys, I can't do this film anymore. So I gotta go. And thank you anyways. And Christian would be like, fuck it, I'll do it myself. Get the camera. Get the camera. I'll just do everything myself. Here we go. Sorry to all of our New Zealand listeners. My New Zealand accent is absolute trash, but that's what you fucking get.
Oh my god!
You knew what you were in for.
I
You
just
knew.
want to. I want to hear like. It makes me almost wish we had a call-in show so that someone could call in and just tell you what fucking trash your accent
Just
is.
absolute rubbish. Listen here, mate. Your accent is Trish. You sound like Korg from Thor 2. Yeah, 3. But yeah, so this film, as we mentioned, stars, directs, written, produced, edited by Christian Nicholson, who has also done another movie called Space Warriors in Space, which is very meta because it is referenced in this movie multiple times, and
I mean,
the
that's the
movie
name of.
takes place in that movie,
Yeah, that's the name of the movie that they're in.
which I thought was kind of clever, but very
Wait, where's he
like,
credited for that?
for what?
Space Warriors in Space.
Oh, if you go to his thing,
I'm looking
he
at
is
it.
listed as the writer of Space Wars in Space, Space Warriors in Space.
Where?
It actually says production status in development. I'm literally looking at it. Christian Nicholson,
Yeah,
writer,
yeah.
Space Warriors in Space. I clicked the
That's.
button.
So I'm looking at it on the web, and I see writer Good Morning Stonus
Yep,
and
that
this
one's
giant
coming
paper
soon.
mache boulder. That's it. That's all I see.
I think we need to have a talk with IMDb.
Yeah.
IMDb, yes, you're on the line. Oh, this is not a call-in show. You were saying it's not a call-in show. Yeah, no, he's listed as the writer, just the writer for Space Warriors in Space. And director. He's also listed as a director, but it does say that it's in development. So he basically teased his own film uh within his own film.
That's.
He teased his upcoming film in his own film.
I mean,
Which
that's
is
actually
very
brilliant.
what was the other movie that we saw that did that? Was that Deathgasm or Mega Time
Uh,
Squad? No, yeah.
Mega Time Squad. They had posters. Like, there's been a couple movies we've watched where they've had like posters for their other movies.
The other
Within.
New Zealand one we did, Sheborg. That one
Oh,
had it. Remember, they go to the prison and then there's the posters for it. That
yeah.
was the other one. Sheborg was the other New Zealand film we did.
Fucking
Or
forgot
was
about.
that was Sheborg New Zealand? I think it was.
I mean, that movie was such a shit show.
It was such a Sheborg show. I don't know. I thought I was going somewhere with it.
Sheborg Massacre.
Sheborg. Oh yeah, because it was also AKA Sheborg. No, that was an Australian film.
Yeah,
So fuck it. I don't know things.
No, you
I
you
give
don't know
up.
shit about fuck.
I don't know shit about fuck. Um, so this giant paper mache boulder is actually really heavy. So the film starts off with our characters of Tom, Jeffrey, and Gavin, who they're playing lawn darts, which I thought was really funny because I'm like, yo, that shit's banned in America. You can't play that here. And
Is it
they,
banned in the whole U.S. or because I know it was in New York. I
oh,
remember
well, it's
that when we
definitely
were
banned in
growing
New
up.
York. You can't play lawn darts anymore in New York.
I feel like
Listeners, is
I feel
lawn
like
darts banned in your state or country? India? Can you guys play lawn darts? Oh, they can definitely play lawn darts in India.
I feel like it's almost definitely legal here, but like a lot of shit is legal here that shouldn't be.
Right, right. I mean, also New York can't have fireworks, so there's that too.
Yeah, but they also have like the largest fucking lawn dart that I've ever seen.
Oh, it's like the size of their arm.
It's like the size of a small dog.
Yeah. I mean, we would know. I just realized that it'd be funny is like for me, like you've lived in New York, so you're familiar too. And I'm like, lawn darts are legal. This is crazy. And everyone else in the world is like, bitch, I'm fucking playing lawn darts right now. Like, what are you talking about? They're illegal. Like, I am throwing a lawn dart as you say that.
I just got back from my lawn darts tournament.
Right? Like, I am a 4-time lawn dart champion, asshole. So our lawn darts
legal.
But is
in
it
Australia
legal?
is the first thing that came up.
But is it legal? That's my Star Wars reference of the day.
Lawn darts are banned according to the Consumer Product Safety Commission.gov website, CSPC.gov.
But banned where?
Banned
like in all America?
Banned the sale of lawn darts in the United States in
Woof.
1988.
Dang, dude.
Lawn darts used in an outdoor game have been responsible for the deaths of children.
I mean, in all fairness, you literally throw spikes into the air. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know why it took all the way to 1988 for someone to be like, you know what, though?
Well, when
Hmm.
were they first introduced? Like, what was
I mean, that has to be one of the games that was
lifespan
invented in the 60s.
of lawn darts? Let's see if Wikipedia will tell me. It doesn't tell me when they were first introduced. Oh,
That means they've been around for a
ah,
very long time.
in October of 1970, the US FDA requested that RB Jarts the company making lawn darts, add labels noting that they were for use by adults only. So there was 18 years uh, in between when that request was first made to have them labeled as like not safe to when they were officially banned in the U.S.
Dang.
When were
So 19
lawn
I feel like
darts
I feel like I 100% was playing lawn darts well after 1988.
invented? Oh, I'm sure. I mean, if you still had them, like they weren't going to come and stop you.
Right.
They were
Lawn
invented in
dart
the
police.
50s.
Oh, so
So
all the way through the 50s.
took like 30 years.
Before the 30 years of child deaths to be like, maybe throwing metal spikes at children is not a good safe toy.
Although
Give them a cigarette instead.
I said the track record for the United States declaring things not safe and that we shouldn't have them,
Right.
30 odd years is actually pretty good for us.
I mean, it took like 60 years to ban asbestos, and even now it's kind of like, well, if you got it,
I mean, just think how quickly they banned assault. Oh.
uh, oh, look word. I guess lawn dart doesn't have that big lawn dart money to back up the
Yeah.
politicians.
There's no National Lawn Dart
There's no
Association.
last, but there could be. But
But there
there
should
could
be.
be.
I for one will stand up for my rights to play lawn darts. No, I won't. They're
I
incredibly
won't. I
dangerous, and
don't. Yeah.
in fact, they actually in the movie managed to humorously demonstrate how incredibly dangerous they are
Yeah.
as they're chucking around this lawn dart the size of a an overweight cat. And one of the characters goes to throw the dart just as a passerby is walking in front of him, and he just
Yep.
like stops just in time to know. Um, Another one kind of like inadvertently tosses it up in the air and it lands in a tree just where the other character's hands was seconds
Yep.
before.
He like
You
moves
can
his
see
hand away and it lands. Yep.
you can see how like rusty and dirty it is.
Oh,
Like what a horrible experience it would be.
that is tetanus waiting to happen, my friend.
It's just oh Lord.
Oh,
Lawn darts.
lawn darts, the silent killer. Um, good old lawn darts.
You just I don't do you actually have a pen in your hand right now?
I do.
Just for a moment you had like the classic like talk show host thing where like you make a joke and then you're like write something down.
I got it right. Dear, I'm doing the Jimmy Fallon. Dear, oh, thank you, lawn darts, for allowing me to split open my brother's skull. I don't have a brother anymore. Oh, I sued lawn darts and I got that big lawn dart money.
You know, we had lawn darts as a kid, and
Yeah,
I do
totally.
have an older brother, which like makes me wonder how I made it like this long.
Yeah. I mean, I had a vindictive, like, older cousin that I spent a lot of time with. And I'm like, I guarantee she fucking threw a lawn dart at me and was like, ha ha ha. And then eventually, someone was like, we should probably get rid of the lawn darts. But like the worst part is like, I think about like my mom was definitely throwing parties where they were getting trashed and throwing lawn darts around. Like that was 100% a thing.
Uh-huh.
And like, I couldn't do it sober. My mom was like, I've just polished off a case of PBR. I'm gonna throw some fucking lawn darts at my softball friends and hope for the best, bitches. Like,
Well, just think about
that was the
how
thing.
like classic like metal tip darts, like the actual just the game of darts, how that is like synonymous with like pub game when like you
Yeah.
play that at a bar. And of course
Yeah.
now you have the plastic tipped ones which like they could poke an eye out but they're not likely to kill anyone.
Yeah. They're
But
also
like
trash and they're not likely to even stick in the board half the time.
no, they bend.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I
Um,
hate when I get the crooked one.
and then just kind of
That was a
bounces off.
clueless reference, by the way, for anyone.
You're a clueless reference.
This is fucking
Um,
true.
but yeah, you think about like people are just like historically known for like drinking lots of alcohol and throwing like tiny little spears around.
I mean, jousting. They just drink a lot of alcohol. We're like, they'll be like, you know what we should do? I'm gonna get on my horse. You fucking get on your horse. Let's run at each other with these giant pointy sticks. Dude, how much fun is that? And this is why we invented TV, because a long time ago, people were literally running at each other with giant sticks. We've determined this. We just named 3 games, historically 3 games, where people literally just throw sharp metal objects at each other. This is why TV is so important.
And you know what? We didn't learn our lessons because remember the rise a couple years ago of axe throwing bars?
Oh, yeah, that's still a thing now. Like, people are still totally in that. Like, at least we're not throwing them at each other.
In theory.
In theory, I mean, you're not supposed to. I mean, you weren't supposed to throw lawn darts at each other, but you fucking were. You fucking threw that shit in the air and were like, trying to dodge it. Where's it gonna land? Oh, that's great. Oh,
Lay down on the ground over there. No, this would be totally cool.
It's gonna be cool. Just close your eyes. It'll be great.
I promise I won't hit you.
All right, so we just spent 20 minutes making jokes about lawn darts, and welcome to a Never Heard of It podcast, because that's what we do. We rant about shit that is not relevant to the movie.
That's incredibly relevant. You shut your mouth.
Actually, no, that was. I apologize. I apologize to our listeners. That was very relevant and
That's the
necessary.
entire scene.
The entire 10-second scene. So I have to say though, so the star of the Eminor, who we meet in a little bit, played by Sez Neerderer, she actually looks like Sarah Sweeney, who we've had on the show before.
I can see it.
Kinda, right?
I wouldn't have thought it, but I can see it.
Yeah. I still don't think it, but I could see it. So Jeffrey convinces Tom and Gavin to come to a sci-fi festival with him, basically like a Comic-Con, but specifically for sci-fi film, and so they go. We see a lot of like it's weird because at first I was like, oh cool, they just went to like a for real sci-fi film festival, because I saw like Star Wars, there was a couple of like Star Trek references, but then there was a whole lot of like generic costumes, and I was like, no, they just like built a convention, because then it was like the same 7 people walking around the building, and I was like, got it.
They found like all the shiny fabric in town.
Like,
every yard of shiny fabric in
Silver
every
lame
fabric
everywhere.
store in like 100-mile radius of wherever this was filmed. They purchased that.
I mean, in all fairness, 100-mile radius is all of New Zealand.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's true. They actually had to jump into the ocean for some of the radius. All of our listeners in New Zealand would be like, yo, that's bullshit. But you're right, but that's bullshit. Mate. Fucking cunt. I'm sorry. We love our New Zealand listeners. We really do. And seriously, we love all your movies. Every film you've ever made. It's great.
So far. Yeah.
So far. They can't turn us down. But yeah, so Tom, Jeffrey, Gavin, they head to the sci-fi festival. Jeffrey, who is super into this, he's dressed up. Gavin and Tom just, come as normal, and they're both saying that they don't like sci-fi. Like, we're not really into it. And we learned that Gavin is used to be a writer, but is now an English teacher. Which is probably the most useless backstory we get in this entire movie, because like he was like, oh no, like they have this moment where he's like, no, I used to be a writer, but I don't do that anymore. Now I'm an English teacher, and I'm just like, oh, that's gonna play off, and it never does. It just doesn't mean anything.
That's not true.
Oh yeah, am I wrong? Because I don't remember. Yeah. Maybe I don't remember.
It actually it comes full circle and has a very important bearing on the plot.
So in the end, his big revelation, his like secret, is that
like he runs into someone at the convention who who recognizes him, but is like all dressed up like super like goblin-esque or something.
It's like generic sci-fi. Like if I were to tell you, like, have people dress up as the most generic, like super nerdy sci-fi thing possible, this is the type of shit they would do. It's very fake.
Yeah. And so like he's trying to avoid interacting with this person and like trying to like kind of ease his way out, and the guy's like, "Oh, you still writing? I'm like, I love your writing." He's like, "No, I don't do that. Actually, I teach English." And like, basically, he's distancing himself from any association with uh, everything around him, all of the
Sure.
nerdery, and that is important when the time progresses.
Okay, I see. I see. I am of what you have put down. I have now picked up. But so this reminds me of actually the latest episode of the Super Pod Hero Cast. They were just talking. Well, not the latest. It is like a week or so ago now.
What
But
is
they were
time?
talking about the movie Blank Man. I don't know. So they're talking about the movie Blank Man, and they bring up the fact of like how the character of Daryl acts in the movie, and how he's that like over exaggerated nerd where like they're always making things with generic wires and colanders, and they're like it's a push up glasses, whatever. It's like that generic nerd, and they bring up like the fact of like the Big Bang Theory, that show, where they
Hmm.
mention like, well, this is that like they over enunciate what nerdery looks like or what geeks look like, and they make it seem like everybody is like this button to the top, I know everything about math and science, and I invent shit in my room, and any sci-fi will do. And that's just not, that
No,
is such a weird stereotype that's not accurate at all.
no,
If you ever literally go to a Comic-Con and walk around, you would be hard pressed to find people like that. I know the joke is that you would, but like you're gonna find a whole fucking bunch of hipster kids. Like that's what you were gonna find at Comic Cons, and like
first of
just
all,
regular people. But
outside of like the annual like Pornhub awards, you will probably never find a hornier group,
yeah,
uh,
no kidding, dude.
and you will never find a group of people with more intricate costuming, like outside of a Hollywood studio, and even more so than a lot of the movies that we watch.
Lot, definitely more than this film.
Just absolute dedication to their craft, and yeah, like that the like the Big Bang and shit like that. Like that's not what fandom is. That's not what being a nerd or geek or like loving something like sci-fi or fantasy or anything like that. That's not what that is at all.
Right,
Not even
right,
close.
right. Yeah, and that's our after school special for today about stereotypes. Um, but yeah, so they head to this thing, and so finally, Jeffrey convinces them to like, they see a bunch of posters for everything around, and actually there was a poster for Goon. They said that there was this band Goon performing, and Goon was actually the ones that did all the songs in this movie,
Oh, look at
which
that.
is a fun another little
That's always
thing.
fun when they
Yeah,
when
it's always
they
fun.
when you those little nods and acknowledgments.
Well, especially these small movies, like it's cool that they do. I like when small movies like this do this. So they head to the movie, and the movie, of course, is the movie we mentioned, which is Space Warriors in Space. And so they get there, and they realize they're the only three people in the theater. And they so they start watching the movie, and the very first thing that pops up is that we see the credits of like starring, and it
Yeah.
actually has all of their names. And they were like, oh, those are
Whoa.
our names. That's weird. And then just as Gavin goes to reach across for something, they all get, wavy, and then boom, they're now transported, and they wake up inside of the spaceship, and they are now aboard this ship. So before we continue on with the rest of the plot, let's go ahead and take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, we will continue with this giant paper mache boulder is actually really heavy. Is really actually heavy? Is actually really heavy.
It's actually really heavy.
It is actually really fucking heavy. We'll be right back.
You're listening to a Night Shift Radio production. Night Shift Radio is a modern media company bringing you shows that entertain, inform, and most importantly, provide an escape. Never Heard of It dives into the world of bad, obscure, and sometimes just weird movies. Follow along with the crew of Set Condition 1 as they experience the 2004 sci-fi hit Battlestar Galactica, one episode at a time. Each week on Left of the Dial, we explore a new record or revisit an old favorite. We bring in guests to talk about their own music and the state of the industry. The Superpod Hero Cast, guys with beers talking about movies with capes. They draw a random comic-inspired movie from Thor's helmet and offer thorough, insightful, and humorous commentary. And once a month, tune into the Storyteller series and get lost in the magic of a good old-fashioned radio drama. Learn more about these fine shows at nightshiftradio.com and subscribe on your favorite platform.
Hello and welcome back. Welcome back. I will never not say that. We've made that joke like 10 times. I will still fucking do it every time.
You know, speaking of like that kind of association, like when you were just before the break referring to like, you know, they like everything goes wavy and then they wake up and they're in the movie. In the back of my head, I had to bite my tongue to stop from like, wake up!
Wake up! So now, so this is interesting. So now they find themselves in the movie, and this instantly reminded me of another movie from the 80s that I loved, or maybe 90s. Last Action Hero.
Oh yeah,
dude, Last Action Hero is a great movie. So Last Action Hero is an Arnold Schwarzenegger film, and a kid gets a magic ticket that puts him inside of his favorite action hero star, who's played by Arnold Schwarzenegger. You know, he's in the film, and what's really funny in that film is that there's this really cool thing where they go to a video store, and he's like, "Look, I'm gonna prove to you that you're actually an actor." He's like, you know, and they go to the video store and they see a like cardboard stand-up, and it's of the Terminator, but it's actually Sylvester Stallone as the Terminator. And he goes, "What? He's a very good star. I'm very proud of him. He's done a very good career for himself." And it is very funny. It's funny because, you know, Sylvester Stallone.
So I have to say though, as a kid, titles like The Last Action Hero were really kind of confusing to me because like I really like when that came out, I really thought that was the end. Like that was it. Like
there was no more action heroes.
No more action heroes after this. Like he was the last one. And like it's just not true.
But okay, but I have to ask, I don't feel like there's action stars the way there were with Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Bruce Willis. Like, do you really consider, like, is there another, like, who is truly the last action hero? Like, who is the true, like, who is a new one? I can't name a new one.
The Rock, Jason Statham.
I guess I'll give you The Rock, but I mean, like, that's also like maybe The Rock is a little more recent, but Jason Statham has been since the early 2000s.
But the point, I mean, this movie came out in 1993, and there have been action heroes since.
There have. Well, so he wasn't the last. He was like the third to last action hero.
Like
one of the last action heroes.
I posit that there will continue to be action heroes.
For I mean, but I mean, outside action. Of The Rock, who is a new action hero?
I don't really think action movies, but like they still happen.
I mean, they kind of do, but I feel like they're still all the same people. I mean, in all fairness, it is pretty much The Rock.
Will Smith has been an action hero.
Yeah, but I mean, he's only got a few left in him. Let's be real. That Fresh Prince ain't so fresh.
What is
I mean, Tom Cruise is immortal, so that doesn't count. He's sacrificed his soul to Scientology.
So I did a quick, just a basic, easy Google search for action movies, and you know, one of the first hits is The Old Guard with Charlize Theron. So
okay,
maybe we transition from action heroes to badass action women.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'll agree with
heroes.
Old
I
Guard...
misspoke there by implying that they wouldn't be heroes. Just like removing the implication that action hero means burly dude.
Means burly dude, right?
That's what I mean.
Right. No, I gotcha. Actually, The Old Guard wasn't that bad, but there definitely was a lot of like plot holes in that movie. But it was actually really cool, and I kind of wish I hope they make a sequel for it.
Let's see, the 50 best action movies of the 21st century so far. And you know what? We've got like Cap is on here. We've got Denzel on here.
Oh shit! I mean, every Marvel action hero right now, like Scarlett Johansson, fucking Brie Larson as Captain Marvel, like fucking phenomenal.
Even we've got ScarJo on here.
Yeah. All right, I'll give you that one.
Lucy. And,
Lucy was
Liam Neeson. He's doing like so. Action heroes are still a thing. Is my point.
Liam Neeson has been around for a while too,
but yes. I mean, that's my point. Like,
yeah. All right, I misspoke. I was mistaken.
1993 did not witness the end of the action hero.
So 1993 didn't kill the action star.
Right.
Oh, oh.
I mean, we can't go back. We've come too far.
Okay.
There's
Pictures came and broke your streaming came and broke your heart. Puts all the blame on Netflix start. Blockbuster. This movie. So now we're in space, right? So they're in the spaceship, and we meet we eventually meet our first alien, who is well, I guess Lord Froth is our first alien that we meet. It's played by Joseph Wyckoff. I know.
Froth.
Lord Froth.
Like what you have on top of your hot coffee beverage.
Sure.
Froth.
A froth. And Lord Froth is played by Joseph Wyckoff, and Joseph Wyckoff played, get this one, Tubatron 2.0 in Power Rangers Beast Morphers, which was the most recent, I think the most recent iteration of Power Rangers. He was also Drillion in Power Rangers Ninja Steel. Oh wait, there's more. He was the TV news reporter in Power Rangers Dino Charge.
Dino Charge.
Yeah, Dino Charge. Is that the one I like?
All of this,
that's the one I like.
After this movie, like this movie, like really catapulted him to fame.
I mean, it truly did. He was in a TV movie called Bombshell. Oh, he was in Ash vs. Evil Dead as Phil.
As Bait. Oh no, the episode was called Bait.
Yeah. And then he was also in a movie called No Turning Back. So Joseph Wyckoff, so our Lord Froth, who is our bad guy. And this, I'll be honest, this scene was very like, making fun of the Star Trek, on screen, on display, like thing where they forget to hang up.
A little bit of Spaceballs in there too.
A little Spaceballs in there. Yeah. No, it definitely was a little Spaceballs where, he sends his threats to our trio, who are like, who the fuck are you? What are you talking about? Like, we're in a spaceship. What is happening? And then he's like, all right. And then he goes and he sits down and he has his tea and he's like, what? I'm still on? They can still hear me right now? And it's funny. I mean, it's such a standard classic joke, but it worked. It was funny.
It did. It
definitely set the tone.
He's yelling about wanting his biscuits, and like he always has biscuits with his tea,
as you do.
And yeah, there's a lot of like tiny little like nods and homages and stuff like that, like in like the jokes that they make like that, but also like some visual Easter eggs in the background.
Sure.
I think if there was, they passed two signs. One that said Klaatu district or whatever, which I think was a reference to the day the Earth stood
still. Yep.
And then Adama quadrant, of course, from Battlestar Galactica. Fuck yes.
Second Edition 1, another one of our great podcasts from the 2004 Battlestar Galactica series from the beginning, from the eyes of a newcomer. Catch us every week at Tuesday. Second Edition 1.
Well done. And of course, there's the Solo system.
Yep, the Solo system. Yeah.
And at one point they pass it's like a welcome to Vegas sort of sign, but it says welcome to Alderaan.
Alderaan.
And the rest of it's been destroyed because the planet blew up.
It's like a million voices are suddenly silenced. That's the moon. And they do make a couple of Doctor Who references. So they say like, it looks like all these people just stepped out of a TARDIS or something like that. Which is cool. So there you go.
Is he a Time Lord?
Is he a Time Lord? Yeah. What do you change your face? Is this some sort of regeneration? Are you a Time Lord? But yeah, so we meet the other two people. So after they have their little thing, we meet the other two people on the ship. So one, of course, is Eminor, who is our Princess Leia-esque character. Funny, she don't look Druish.
She's a regional governor of the Systemic Council. She's basically a bureaucrat.
Sorry,
which I fucking loved.
Yeah, right. And then
they call her a princess, and she's like, "Excuse me."
And then, of course, we meet Bruce, who is he has another name, but it's not listed in this.
Gottfried.
Yeah.
Gottlieb.
Yep. So he's like a fish creature, and he's like the he knows how to fix everything, and and do this. So while this is happening, and they get there and they're starting to like get their bearings, all of a sudden Jeffrey kind of slips into character a little too quickly, and then kind of like, he's like, oh, I'm the captain and blah blah blah, and then he kind of like slips back out and he's like, wow, that was weird.
Yeah.
So we're starting to get the sense that this is a little less of a dream sequence and maybe a little more of a sinister happenings, if you will. If you will, and I hope you do.
I will.
Hmm.
I insist.
That's great. I insist. No, I insist. So the film, so this is where, to me, the film kind of loses it a little bit. So the general idea is that Lord Froth has basically declared battle against these people because they've insulted him. They've shown up into his world. They shot down some of his ships. He demands to know who they are, and they just sort of, they're like, no, fuck off.
They don't know what the fuck he's talking about.
Right. So they're just like, no, piss off. And so, of course, our story begins, and Lord Froth is like, all right, I'll come after you. So they bounce out. Eminor finally gets on there and is like, we need to fucking leave. So they leave, and they go to a couple of different planets. This is where like it's really stretching the plot out, because like they're trying to so specifically, Tom and Gavin are trying to figure out where the fuck they are, what is going on, and how do they get back to the theater. Jeffrey is now just fallen directly into character. And they're kind of not really seeing their understanding, and so they're trying to get around, and we learn very shortly in Eminor is talking about like what they need to do, and they've got Gottlieb there, and sneakily Tom goes into Eminor's space purse and sees a bunch of, which is just,
I love that she's just carrying around
a space purse.
Space purse.
I mean, otherwise all your shit will just float away.
It does seem like a very practical accessory, and
in space,
it was like, let's be real, like it was pretty fabulous with that orange dress.
I mean, it did look really nice, even though she looked like a carrot. It was it was good. It was good. So he's digging through her purse to try to figure out like who the fuck she is or what's going on, and he finds a receipt, an earthly receipt for a place called Gallison's, right? No, Galson's. I don't know. It's some New Zealand clothing department store. I would assume it's something to that effect. And he was like, wait a fucking minute. But we don't immediately see what it is. And then he calls Gavin over and he hands Gavin the thing. And he was like, oh, yeah, what of it? And he was like, no, I found it in Eminor's purse. Like, she's from Earth. And they were like, what? So now we're like, okay, Eminor is doing some sneaky shit. Like at first I thought, she's the double agent or whatever.
Yeah, so we start to realize that it's possible that these three dudes aren't the only ones who have found themselves in this situation, and we might be seeing the beginnings of an explanation for Jeffrey's odd behavior, that maybe other people have found their way into this scenario, and into playing out this movie as well, and have slipped further into character. As it appears that maybe Eminor has.
Yeah. And so we get a lot of scenes of them, like going to planets. They go to a really, probably one of the funniest scenes is the first planet they land on, they're attacked by a bunch of the natives of the planet, who are, they got their spears and stuff. And then they get attacked by a giant iguana, which is literally just a giant iguana. So it's very reminiscent of like the old monster, sci-fi monster movies where it's just giant lizards attacking other giant lizards. And, they were just like, oh, it's cool. The Godzilla ripoffs. So it's definitely an homage to those old films. And they blow up the iguana, right? Yeah. So they shoot it with a ship.
There's a great little sort of scene where like the people are running back and forth, being chased. Yeah, Benny Hill, being chased by the giant lizard, And then finally, Tom just like slams the button to shoot the, or no, it was Gavin. Gavin slams the button to shoot the laser, blows up the iguana, and everyone looks at him. He's like, "It's the only button I know."
And all the peasants rejoiced.
There was much rejoicing, and all of this made possible, of course, because they shut the ship down, which meant that it had to take time to warm back up.
Yeah.
So we see this great cutscene of them like,
which is spectacular.
just standing around waiting. And of course they make their escape. There's a few great instances like that though, of like, the giant like dangerous animal is just like a super close up of like a rabbit or something like that.
Yep. Yeah. And there's a lot of like puppetry, stuffed animal scenes. You see a lot.
The Spunky.
The Sponky. Yep.
The space donkey, which is
space donkey.
Two men in a donkey costume.
So it wasn't horses inside of a Trojan horse?
No, it wasn't a Trojan horse full of horses.
It wasn't a Trojan horse full of horses. Again, if you watch Second Edition 1, you'll find that joke hilarious. Otherwise, you'll just be like, what the fuck, idiots? What the fuck are you talking about? So the, yeah, and then we do actually get a fucking Muppet. We get an actual Muppet in this movie, which was spectacular.
What was that thing called? Was that Frolic?
No, I think that was the Frolic was the woman who with the unibrow and the big teeth.
With Lord Froth.
Yeah. Okay. I think that is I don't even know if they're listed.
Not everyone is credited in this.
Yeah. Oh, maybe it was the Codex, the Scare. The Scar, whatever that
is. Yeah.
Who also plays the Codex. Yeah.
Yeah, because they pronounce it the Scare.
The Scare. Yep. And turns out to be a Muppet.
It's a Muppet.
As he do. He's like, it's just Tom a fucking Muppet.
He's like, it's a fucking Muppet. And they're like, I am not.
I'm not. I shan't. A lot of usage of the word shan't.
I'm here for it.
Yeah.
I love the word shan't.
Yeah, shan't. I shan't not ever longer. I don't know. It's a good word, I think. We should bring it back.
A lot of the super affected, like overly flowery speech, like that you would expect from, like a really cheesy like sci-fi or fantasy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So shan't is of course a contraction of shall and not, shall not.
Yes. Which even shall isn't used nearly enough.
Yeah, we shall. Anymore. Yeah, at least not seriously. Yeah. I think it's very like ironic usage, which is really weird. I'm looking up in the Oxford website, and it's saying that it had crazy high usage in the early 1900s.
I believe that,
but like low usage in like the 1800s. Yeah, shall not, shan't. So like in 1940, people were saying shan't. We shan't do that. See, listen here, you shan't do that.
I'm a big fan of contractions, and even more so of like making them as bizarre and like needlessly awkward as possible. For example, the snake, the "Don't Tread on Me" flag. My favorite mocking version of that ever just simply says "treadn't."
Thou shalt not treadn't upon thee.
Treadn't upon me.
Upon thy, thee would be you, thy would be me. So thou shalt not, thou shan't treadeth upon thy. I don't know. That's a shirt. We're making it a shirt. It's happening. I'm sending a message to Andrea. It's happening.
No,
it's a shirt. Get our latest thou shalt not, and he's wearing a fedora, so it's a snake wearing a fedora. And it says thou shalt not treadeth upon thee.
Oh Jesus.
It's stupid. It's not
so
happening.
There's a lot of flying around and like goofy, like overly played up, like bad sci-fi, like prop model flying against a paper background sort of thing.
Yeah.
Moment where they salvage up a space Vespa and fly around on that.
Yeah. Princess Vespa? funny. She don't look Jewish.
There's a great like takes like 5.5 minutes to fall down a cliff gag, like
Yep.
that kind of shit. Like there's a lot of that, and it definitely it pads the time, but there's also there's some epic space battles with old people,
Yeah,
very old space pirates.
which is great. Yeah, we see, and so one of the things that starts happening progressively throughout the film is Tom starts to realize that this world is probably not real. So
Yeah,
one of the instances, actually, it's Gavin who realizes this. He's talking to Gottlieb, and he was like, "Yeah, this is fucking weird." And he's like, "So tell me, where are you from?" And he's looking at Gottlieb, and he looks closer, and you can see a human
yeah,
behind like Gottlieb's eyes, and he sees his mouth, and he was like, wait a fucking minute. And he grabs Gottlieb by the head. He rips his head off, rips the mask off, and he shows him a picture of himself. And he's like, oh, wait, I remember. Oh, I'm actually Bruce. And Bruce is just some dude that like went to a convention, saw the same movie, and got transported in. But Bruce, however, we learn, was actually watched this movie 3 years ago. So he's been stuck in this movie for 3 years,
yeah.
which
Well,
is
I love
crazy.
because Gottlieb is like tall and scrawny and like like you said, kind of like fish like and but then they take the costume off and Bruce is jacked.
Yeah, he's this big dude, and he's running around. It's very fucking weird. But then we also start getting the hint that Eminor may also be that case, and Tom, and Tom and Eminor, of course, they're the romantic love interest.
Oh, of
They're
course,
starting
of
to
course.
get to each other, and Eminor starts to remember now. She's starting to remember that this isn't exactly where it is. And so we starting to get, and we're getting the feel that like something is happening. And so they go to the Muppet because it's told that the Muppet will answer any question that you give them, and they have to answer truthfully. So the question that they were going to do is they were going to go to the Muppet to try to find out where Lord Froth is. But then Tom is like, no, wait a minute. Like, I'm going to ask him, like, what the fuck's up with this place? And so the last question he asks him is, my assumption is that, like, where do I go to find out why I'm here? And it
Mhm.
gives them the coordinates for the codex, which is what is causing this. So we have our big fight scene with Lord Froth, and we see that shortly after that fight scene that Gavin has turned. And now
Yes.
Gavin is now turned. And so the whole idea is that
Well,
Tom isn't affected at all.
and Tom and Gavin earlier realized that they're not affected because they hate sci-fi. They're not into it at all because Jeffrey is like super sci-fi nerd. Eminor admits that she got sucked into this because she loves old movies. She loves these types of movies, and
Yep.
so like Bruce was the same way. And so they're like, oh, well, it's only affecting the nerds. But then in the battle on this planet, Jeffrey gets, we think he gets shot down dead, and Gavin, when going to avenge him, says, "You know what? I'm a geek too," and like he admits that, and then like he takes on his super geek powers and chases down and kills all of Lord Froth's people. But later, because he's admitted that and allowed himself to feel it, he is now affected by this world and starts to become one of the characters from one of his stories.
Yeah.
And this is where he tells everyone else, admits to them that like he used to write sci-fi stories, and he loved it, like that was his thing. And then one day he accidentally turned in one of his sci-fi stories instead of like an English paper or a history paper or something like that, and the professor loved it and like shared it with the whole class, and then the class like teased and bullied him, and he vowed to never like sci-fi again. And that's what protected him thus far. That's the big reveal. That's
Yeah.
why that scene at the convention was so important.
You're right. You're right. That was a very important scene, a very good full circle moment for Gavin's character growth. Uh, but yeah, so Tom is like, all right, we got to go to the Codex. That's the only thing that's going to get us home. And Fraligay, is she, after they defeat Lord Froth, she's like, oh, I'll be on your side. And they're like, okay. And so they finally get to the Codex, which is just literally a box. And Tom gets to the Codex and he's like, no, you got to send us home. Like, we don't want to do this. And he gets everyone there. But Jeffrey has other ideas. What is Jeffrey's idea?
He feels like he belongs here. Like he's found his home. Like, on Earth, he's just a nerd, and like, he doesn't have a lot of friends, and people make fun of him. But here, he's a hero. He's a space commander, and he's decided he's going to stay, and he won't hear any arguments against it. And Faligay, freed from the tyrannous clutches of Lord Froth, has decided to stay with him, and they're going to adventure and explore the galaxy together. It's very sweet.
It is very sweet. And of course, so Jeffrey is sent back, and as they get sent back, Jeffrey and Gavin are in the exact same spot. No time has changed whatsoever. They're still exactly in the theater. Mm-hmm. They leave the theater, and they're like, oh, this is great. And Gavin's like, I'm going to go off and enjoy this Comic-Con. I'm going to go off and enjoy this sci-fi convention because I am a nerd and I'm going to let myself feel again. Yeah. I want to enjoy the things I like, which is a really great lesson, by the way. Just fucking like the shit you like, dude. Like, don't let anyone harsh on your shit.
Yeah. Don't let people yuck your yum. Don't let people tell you what's okay to be a fan. Well, to an extent,
I mean, within reasonable laws and expectations, like, of course, that's what we're saying.
Absolutely, but like things it's not okay to be a fan of.
Not okay to be a fan of that. Yeah,
but sci-fi is totally fine.
Sci-fi is totally fine. 100%. Just fucking enjoy it. And if you don't, that's cool, man. Just let other people enjoy it too. Yeah. So they get off, and Gavin, runs off, and Tom's there, and then he sees Eminor. And Eminor's like, hey, like I actually saw this movie 6 months ago. So like I've been trapped in there for 6 months, and I actually, when she came back to the exact same time that she got sucked up too. So she was 6 months ago.
Which is really fascinating.
It's really interesting. This is a really cool concept movie. It's just drawn out. It's just drawn out a bunch, but it is a cool idea.
It leaves me wondering what became of Bruce.
Right. And we did learn that Bruce came back 3 years ago to where he left.
But like where is he now?
Where is he now? Why didn't he go to the convention to be like, hey?
Yeah. Like they could have all met up again in person and been like, let's relive old times.
Yeah.
They didn't. But like what happened to the rest of the people from
everybody else?
Presumably, right. As far as we can tell from the way that the Codex speaks, like it designed this world because humans fascinate it and like they surprise it, and that makes it happy, and so it brought them all in to interact with. And Tom makes his plea to send everyone home, but we don't know who actually everyone is. Like, are the old geriatric space pirates, or
right?
Did they have movie night at the home?
Like who is real? Like who are the NPCs, and who are the actual people that got sucked in Jumanji? Exactly. That's what I need to know. This is space Jumanji, people. Basically, if you need to know what this is, it's space Jumanji.
But like the Rock Jumanji, action hero, boom.
There we go. And that's an episode and cut. Also, there's actually a really cool anime that just started called "I'm Standing on a Million Lives," and it's just out on Crunchyroll and stuff now. But it's basically these people get
Crunchyroll.
It's like Tootsie Roll, but a Crunchyroll. So they get sucked into this game by this game master, and it's like an RPG type game. So they keep having to up their level, but he keeps sending them back to the real world to the exact same time that he sends, and he's like, all right, I'll see you in 2 years. And they're like, wait, what the fuck? And they just keep getting pulled back and forth in. But the thing is it's kind of very a Dark Souls type game. So you just keep dying in the game. Hence the I'm standing on a million lives. So he'll go to attack a goblin, and the goblin will just chop his head off. And he's like, ah, fuck. And then he dies. And then he comes back and he goes again. And this time the goblin stabs him in the gut. So he just has to keep, each time he gets slightly stronger and stronger. So he's just dying over and over and over again in this game. And they see a glimpse of the future where they're super powerful and they have to fight this giant Godzilla thing. So we know what's coming. Cool anime. If you're into anime, check it out. I'm Standing on a Million Lives.
It does make me wonder what it like. What if you had to feel every death of every character you play in a video
Oh
game?
fucking god. The amount of times like I just fell off shit just because I was like, can I get up there? Let me try
Nope.
30 times. No, I guess I can't. Oh well. Like just the sensation of falling to my doom 100 times in a game. Oh man. Oh man.
So, in summary, we've said it. We'll say it again. We're nerds here. We support nerds. Be a
Yeah,
nerd. If
be a
that's
nerd.
who you are, be who you are. We love
Mm.
it. We love you. And yeah, I did not expect to learn a lesson from this movie.
No, I definitely did not as well. So should you watch this movie? Yeah, it's a cute movie. It's
I
fun.
don't see
It
why
it
not.
definitely drags in the middle a little bit, but it's still it keeps you there with cute references. It keeps you there with the fact that they're very aware that this is a B grade, sci-fi film. Like they're very upfront about it. Like they're not trying to make, top-notch thing. Like they're actually trying to make the cardboard robot square monsters because that's what's funny. And it works. I think it's clever.
My
I'm
only
down.
my only actual complaint with this movie was that the sound was terrible.
The sound is
The
terrible.
dialogue was really like kind of echoey and hard to hear, like kind
Yep.
of buried in the mix. And it's she can't see you. The I was using a new streaming device and I haven't yet figured out how to turn subtitles on for Tubi.
Oh,
And
gotcha.
so I didn't even have the benefit of the subtitles. And of course, they lots of accents. Everybody has an accent.
Yep.
That's actually a truer statement than I intended it to be. Everyone has an accent.
Everyone has an accent.
Just a
Yeah.
matter of like
That's perception.
to whom.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's my only actual complaint. Like, if you can turn the subtitles on, do it.
I did. There was a lot though. I will say all of the any of the space words, like the made up words or names, it just said gibberish, says gibberish, mumbles. They weren't able to really fully translate it. So I'm sure they just used a third party service instead of the actual film distributor, like submitting the script or whatever.
But there you have it.
There you have it. I think it was decent. I think we'll watch it. Content warning, swearing, that's it.
Yeah.
A few sexuality references. There's no actual nudity, but
Yes.
it's a lot of like, you see a girl in a bikini or bikini-esque. It's like, the like Amazonian type outfit, and she kind of like jiggles her boobs a little bit, but it's not even like that sexual.
There's some innuendo.
Right. But I mean, still not appropriate for kids. They say the F word a lot. Older kids.
Yeah, you're probably
Younger,
right.
more sly kids. I don't know.
I don't have kids, so.
Yeah, I don't fucking know. I wouldn't let my daughter watch it for a while. But yeah, so there it is. This giant paper mache boulder is actually really heavy, available on Tubi TV. And that closes out October. So now we're gonna kick in. So that was Caleb's month. So Caleb's birthday is tomorrow. So happy birthday, Caleb.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm very excited.
So happy birthday, Caleb. You are 39. You get to be 39 3 weeks before I turn 39. And which, speaking of which, now we're heading into November, which is my birthday month. And we are going to kick it off with a really funny film, hopefully funny film called They Call Me Bruce.
And if all goes as planned, we may have a special guest for this one.
We don't know yet,
sure,
but possibly. That would be cool. So we'll see. And then we've got a few other I've got a few other films in mind. I just haven't tossed them on the calendar yet, but we'll get that up and running. You'll be able to see that on a website. Do we have a website where they could see? I need to get all of it together.
As a matter of fact, we do. And when we know what movies are going to be coming up next month, you'll know if you visit thenahoit.com. That's THENHOIT.com, where, of course, we have our monthly schedule of upcoming episodes, links to trailers, as well as to where you can find these movies streaming if they're available. And you can also on there, if you want, you can reach out to us through our contact form. And you can tell us what you think of the podcast, or you can do as so many have done before you, and send us a submission. We like We like hearing what you want to, what you enjoy, what movies you want to hear us talk about. And we did the whole month of September with listener submissions, and we're gonna do that again in the not too distant future.
In the not too distant future.
Keep those submissions coming, and we'll talk about your movie.
Yeah.
Well, Michael, where else can they find out about us?
Hey, did you know that we're also on social media at the Nahoit Podcast?
Did it work?
I don't know why you were surprised. We're also on social media, the Nahoit Podcast. That's the NHOIT Podcast at Twitter and Instagram. Not only will you hear about the upcoming episodes, but you also see things like clips from past episodes, happenings. We'll show off our brand new shirt, which is the "Don't Tread on Me" snake wearing a fedora. That's not gonna be a shirt.
We're not doing that.
Kidding. We're not doing that. That's not gonna be a shirt. Unless there's very popular demand. That's not gonna be a shirt. That being said, thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next week.